You know that feeling, that specific moment when you decide, okay, I'm going to fix my life.
Yeah.
You commit, you draw a real line in the sand, maybe you quit drinking, or you adopt some rigorous new moral code.
Right.
You just decide you're done with the family drama. You make this massive positive change, and you kind of expect a little applause, or at least a good for you.
Some validation. You just want to know you're on the right track.
Exactly. But instead, you look around at your old circle, your friends, your family, and they aren't clapping.
Oh, no.
They're looking at you like you were the one who's lost their mind.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've betrayed them just by getting better.
It's the classic crabs in a bucket thing, but with a psychological twist. You improve yourself, and suddenly you're the villain.
That is exactly the tension we are exploring today. Why does self-improvement, and specifically spiritual improvement, so often alienate us from the people we actually care about? And to unpack this, we're doing a deep dive into a message from Pastor Hu Zikang, delivered back on February 22, 2026.
And the context here is absolutely everything. This wasn't just some random sermon. This message was delivered on the final day of a 9-day holiday in Taiwan.
9 days. Wow. That's a significant amount of family time.
It's a marathon. I mean, imagine being in close quarters with all your relatives, all the food, the drinking, navigating all that old family baggage for over a week. Pastor Hugh is talking to a room full of people who are exhausted, probably irritated, and they're about to go back into the real world.
So this isn't high-level abstract theology. This is triage for a holiday hangover.
Yeah.
Both emotional and physical.
Precisely. The title of the message is Losing Patience. And he draws on Warren Wiersbe, passages from 1 Peter, 2 Corinthians. But honestly, if you strip away the religious language for a second, what he's really offering is a psychological toolkit.
A toolkit for what? Dealing with difficult relatives?
For dealing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And for learning why logic is completely useless when emotions or, intoxication are driving the bus.
I think we've all tried to use logic on an emotional driver. It usually ends in a crash. So let's get into the mechanics. The source starts with what he calls the weird reaction. He pulls from 1 Peter. What's the core idea there?
Well, the text says people think it's strange that you no longer run with them to the same excess of riot, wild living. But Pastor Hugh points out this fascinating societal double standard that I think applies to almost everyone, religious or not.
Okay, what's the double standard?
He says, look, if someone ruins their life with a vice, to say they swap gambling for drinking or they just live in total chaos, society basically shrugs. It's seen as, normal human weakness.
Right. Oh, that's just Uncle Bob being a mess again. It's just the baseline.
Exactly. It's the status quo. But, he says, if that same person suddenly gets sober or disciplined or righteous through faith, the reaction from their old circle isn't relief.
It's suspicion.
It's often concern that their brain is broken.
That they've been brainwashed, or they're no fun anymore.
Or that they're just not right in the head. It's this paradox. We accept chaos as normal, but we treat radical discipline like it's a pathology.
When you stop doing the excess, you're kind of holding up a mirror to everyone who's still doing it.
And nobody likes looking in that mirror, especially, when they're hungover.
True.
But the source moves pretty quickly from the what to the why. And this is where we hit the concept of spiritual blindness.
And when I hear spiritual blindness, I usually think of it as a metaphor. They just don't see the light. Is that how he's using it?
No, and that's the key to his whole strategy. He's referencing 2 Corinthians to argue this is a literal incapacity. He's saying that some people just do not have the hardware to process the data you were giving them.
It's like trying to explain the color red to someone who literally can't see red. It doesn't matter how good your description is.
Right. And just think about the strategic implication of that. If you're arguing with a relative about your new choices and you get frustrated that they just don't get it, well, that frustration is actually on you.
Ouch. Because I'm trying to run software on a machine that doesn't have the right operating system.
Exactly. You're trying to use logic on someone who is, by his definition, blind to the very premise of your argument. So Pastor Hu says, the moment you realize they cannot see, you have to stop trying to argue them into seeing.
That shifts the whole dynamic from combat to endurance, or maybe pity.
Or compassion, ideally. You stop seeing them as an enemy attacking you, and you start seeing them as someone with a disability in that moment. And to back this up, he does something really interesting. He pivots from the Bible to Eastern philosophy.
I saw that in the notes. He quotes Confucius.
He does. The phrase is Dao Butong, Buxian Wei Mu.
My Mandarin is non-existent. Can you break that down for us?
Of course, it basically translates to those whose ways are different cannot make plans for each other.
Whose ways are different cannot make plans for each other.
Or a bit more poetically, people traveling different paths cannot plot together.
That feels incredibly pragmatic.
It's so simple, but it's profound. If your fundamental path, your worldview is different from your family's, you can't collaborate on the direction of your life. If you try and force your path onto theirs, you don't get conversion, you just get conflict.
So the advice isn't try harder to convince them, it's accept the divergence.
Yes. You have to recognize you're on completely different maps. And all of this theory, it sets up the strongest, most practical part of the whole message. Pastor Hoon tells this really gritty story from his own life.
The 3 a.m. phone calls.
The 3 a.m. phone call.
I think we've all had a version of this. Maybe not at 3 a.m. from a pastor's perspective, but definitely that trapped on the phone feeling.
Yeah.
What was happening?
So early in his ministry, maybe 35 years ago, he did these calls in the middle of the night, usually from people in his community who were drunk, and they wanted to confess or complain or just talk.
The classic, I'm drunk, so now I'm being honest idea.
That's what he thought at first. He calls it spitting truth after drinking. So being this diligent young pastor, he'd stay on the line. He'd listen to all the weeping, the circular arguments.
Thinking he's helping.
Thinking, this is the work, I'm helping them process their pain.
But he wasn't.
No. He realized later that the content of those calls, he described it as just wind and rain.
Meaningless noise.
Total noise. And here's the kicker. The next day, the caller remembered nothing.
Seriously?
Zero. He'd sacrificed his sleep, wrecked his energy for the next day's work, and the person he helped didn't even retain the conversation. The truth they were spitting was just waste.
So he was basically a therapist to a blackout. Just an exercise in total futility.
Completely. So he developed a protocol, and I think this is a masterclass for anyone dealing with high conflict people, whether there's alcohol involved or not.
Let's hear it. The protocol.
Okay. Phone rings at 3 a.m. He picks up, he asks one single question. Have you been drinking? If they say yes, or even if they just sound like they have, he says one sentence. We will talk tomorrow. Click. And then, and this is the crucial part, he takes the phone off the hook.
He physically disconnects.
Yeah.
Removes the temptation.
It removes the whole channel of access. He knew he couldn't trust himself not to pick up again if it kept ringing, so he took away the option. And he connects us right back to that idea of spiritual blindness we were talking about.
Yeah, how so?
He argues that dealing with a spiritually stubborn person, someone who's just looking for a fight or to vent, or who's just stuck in their own toxic loop, is functionally the same as dealing with a drunk person.
That's a bold comparison. A stubborn relative at Thanksgiving is the same as a drunk dialer.
In terms of their cognitive processing in that moment, yes, their mind isn't clear, they can't take responsibility for what they're saying, and most importantly, listening to them is not an act of kindness.
What is it then?
It's an act of enabling.
Because you're just letting them dump all that wind and rain on you without any consequence.
Exactly. You're letting them vent their toxicity while you absorb all the damage. Pastor Hugh uses this digestive metaphor. He says, offering them the best food, truth, wisdom, heartfelt advice, is useless. Their system just can't digest it.
It's like feeding a steak to someone who has the stomach flu.
It's going to make a huge mess. And you, the person offering the food, are the one who's going to get covered in, well, the result.
That is a very visceral image, but it makes sense. If their digestive system of reason is shut down by alcohol, anger, or whatever feeding them, truth is actually harmful.
It is. And this leads to a really great phrase he uses for the mistake we make when we try to force that feeding. He calls it skin courage.
Bifuzi Young.
Yes. It's a Chinese idiom. It can mean brute courage, but in this context, it's more like reckless bravery, just acting on impulse.
That urge to just jump in and fix it.
Yeah. The urge to fight a battle without any wisdom. It's the courage of someone who rushes into a burning building without checking if anyone's inside, or if they even have a fire extinguisher. Pastor Hugh warns against this. He says we often mistake our lack of boundaries for zeal or love.
We think we're being heroes, but we're actually just being reckless.
Inefficient and dangerous. He pairs this with another metaphor, the strong light.
This one really stood out to me, because we always think of light as good. We want to shine a light on things.
But context is everything. Imagine you have one of those super powerful tactical flashlights. If you use it to light up a dark path, it's great, it's helpful. But what happens if you walk up to someone in a dark room and you shine that light directly into their eyes from 2 inches away?
You blind them. It hurts. They're going to recoil.
Exactly. The source argues that when we force truth or correction onto people who aren't ready for it, we're shining that high beam right into their retinas. We aren't helping them see, we're blinding them.
And then we get mad when they get angry with us for it.
Right. We say, but I showed them the light. Why are they attacking me? Well, because you hurt them. You confused intensity with effectiveness. You were using skin courage, brute force, instead of wisdom.
So this is really about calibration. Knowing when to dim the light or when to just turn it off.
Yeah.
But how do we know? If we can't use skin courage or blind people, how do we ever engage? We can't just ignore everyone.
No, and the source offers a pretty clear framework for this. He uses 2 biblical archetypes, the Pharisees and Nicodemus.
Okay, break those down. Who are they in this model?
The Pharisees represent the trolls. They ask questions, but they're not looking for answers. They're looking for traps. They are the theological equivalent of the drunk caller. They just want to argue. They want to catch you in a mistake.
So don't pick up the phone for the Pharisees.
Correct. Save your breath. Arguing with them is skin courage. It's just useless friction. But then you have Nicodemus.
Nicodemus was a Pharisee, though, wasn't he? A leader.
He was, yes. But the story is that he came to Jesus at night, humbly. He had genuine questions. He wasn't trying to trap. He was trying to understand.
So he was a seeker. He was actually capable of digestion.
Exactly. The core skill Pastor Hugh is trying to teach is the ability to scan a room or a Thanksgiving table and identify who's a Nicodemus and who's a Pharisee in that moment. You save your energy, your best food, for Nicodemus, for the person who's actually hungry, not the person who just wants to start a food fight.
That seems really hard in practice, though. Sometimes the people we love the most are the Pharisees in a given moment.
Yeah.
We want them to be Nicodemus, so we keep treating them that way and we just keep getting burned.
That is the tragedy of it, and that's why the hanging up the phone metaphor is so powerful. It doesn't mean you cut them off forever. Remember what Pastor Hugh said to the drunk caller?
We will talk tomorrow.
And we'll talk tomorrow. It's a deferral. It's not a permanent rejection.
It's a timing strategy.
It is. The source frames patience not as this passive state where you just sit there and take abuse. Patience is an active choice to wait for a sober moment.
You're waiting for the wind and rain to stop.
You're preserving the relationship for a time when it can actually function. If you engage during the storm, you might both say things that destroy it permanently. By hanging up, you're actually protecting the future connection.
That is such a helpful reframe. Hanging up isn't cruel, it's an act of preservation.
Exactly. You're refusing to participate in a destructive cycle.
So if we synthesize all of this, the double standards, the spiritual blindness, the skin courage, what's the main takeaway for someone listening who is just dreading their next family get-together?
I think the biggest thing is that being a good person or a faithful person does not mean being a doormat.
Yeah.
True wisdom is about recognizing capacity. If the person in front of you is drunk on emotion, on stubbornness, on actual alcohol, the most loving spiritual thing you can do is disengage.
You are allowed to take the phone off the hook.
You must take the phone off the hook. To protect your own sanity and to stop them from making a mess they can't clean up, you're just acknowledging the reality. Dao Butong. Our paths are different right now. We can't plan together.
And that frees you from the guilt of not fixing them.
It does. It puts the responsibility right back where it belongs.
Now, before we wrap this up, I want to turn this around for a second. Because it's really easy to listen to this and think, yes, my Uncle Steve is the drunk caller. My boss is a Pharisee.
It's always easier to spot the problem in someone else.
Right. But the source challenges us to have patience with these annoying guys. And so I want to ask the listener and myself, really, is there an area in your life where you are the one making the 3 a.m. call?
Oh, that's the uncomfortable question.
Are there times where you are just venting wind and rain at your partner or your friends, refusing to listen, just expecting them to absorb it all?
Are you sick in reason on a certain topic? Demanding others eat food you're not willing to cook yourself?
It's a real check. If you find yourself having the same circular argument with the same person over and over again, and you never really remember how it got resolved,
it might be time to hang up the phone on yourself.
step back, sober up, talk tomorrow.
Talk tomorrow.
That's it for this deep dive. Hopefully this gives you some tools and maybe the courage to avoid using skin courage as you navigate your own boundaries. Thanks for listening.
Take care.